All right, everybody.
Well,
Why do
It's
we
me.
think that so many people go to Gatsby's parties but never actually meet him, and he's like all secretive?
they throw banger parties. Thank you,
I think
Greg.
that in the book it gives it like suspense, like that. Like I had a quote. Hold on. Oh wait, hold on. I had a quote about how. It says, I believe on the first, this is from Nick, I believe on the first night I went to Gatsby's house, I was one of the few guests who had actually been invited. And so, like, I think that, like, a ton of people just show up because they think it's, like, open invite or something. And so, like, is this, I put as a question, I said, is this taking advantage of Gatsby and his house and his resources? But, like, it also, like, adds suspense to the fact that, like, no one knows who's throwing these crazy parties. Well, they know who it is, but they've never, like, seen him at his own party.
Good
You know,
point. That's a wonderful
everyone
point.
goes because it's a big party and the food is free and the
Drinks
drinks are free.
Yeah.
So that's why they all.
Yeah, I had the same quote as Camille, and I put as a question, why was he invited to the party in the first place, and did Gatsby ever find him? So,
Who? Are you talking about
Find
Nick?
Nick?
yeah.
Yeah, Gatsby
Yeah, he
does
did.
find Nick when they're outside, like, talking about how World War I was and how they were both in
They're
it.
both related
Okay.
to that.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank
And
you.
he invited him to the party because he was his neighbor.
And he was,
Oh,
like,
yeah,
new on
yeah.
the block. The
Awesome.
butler, like, brought him the invitation, right?
Awesome. All
Right?
Yeah, right. Right.
Kyle. But, like, I put, do people take advantage of Gatsby?
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
He lives in a
Yeah.
very nice house and throws massive parties, so they
And he doesn't, like,
use
really.
him for his
But,
money.
like, why doesn't he
I
care?
don't.
Yeah.
Because I think he just likes having the parties.
I think
like,
he
it
He just
more
likes having
people-
the attention. I think.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
likes the fame.
Having the status of throwing massive
He
parties.
doesn't really
Yeah.
care what other people think.
Good point.
So doesn't care that people are just, like, using him.
I think he just likes everybody knows his name and, like, that everybody thinks he's
Yeah.
just, like, some amazing person.
It's like a mystery. To go off that, with the elaborate parties and stuff, I had the quote about there was a machine in the kitchen which could extract the juice of 200 oranges in half an hour, but and then it said like something about how the butler would press the button, but I just thought like, and then it talked about how like they would get imports of like these huge boxes of like oranges just for like drinks. So I thought that was like, that showed like how wealthy Gatsby actually is, like to get crates and crates of just like oranges.
And I think it shows that he's, like, expecting all those people to, like, crash his parties. So, like, he just already expects people to come, so that's probably why he doesn't care.
Good point.
Yeah, he like prepares for it.
My question is, how did they get so big in the first place? Like, how did he
What do you mean,
get all
parties?
the people to come?
They'd probably,
I think they just, when a few people gather and spread the word that he throws good parties, and
it's not like they had like phones to
enough
be able to
they
like
have,
text
yeah.
each other.
They probably just grow over time.
It probably
Word of
like
mouth.
started small and then they were like, you need to come, like it
I
just like
said that.
grew.
Okay.
I have a quote. Oh yeah, it says, "Welcome or not, I found it necessary to attach myself to someone before I should begin to address cordial remarks to the passerbys." I said, like, Nick doesn't want to flirt with anyone. Like, he doesn't want to be like Daisy or like Tom or whatever, and be flirting with people or while he's in a relationship. So I think that just kind of plays to his personality, that he's more
Nick,
civilized, I
Nick's
guess.
character.
Yeah.
Yeah. I there's a quote going off of like his character. I was just confused on this part because at the very end of the chapter, he's talking about is Baker's the tennis player, right? Golf?
Golf, yeah, dude. Come on now.
Oh wait, who's the tennis player?
An excellent question that we'll discuss a little bit on Monday, but you're free to speculate though.
Okay, so it had the okay, I got them confused, but it has this quote. All I could think about was that certain girl that plays tennis. Something about like the perspiration. I don't know. He was just like really detailed about like her, and so like going back to what we had talked about yesterday with like the speculation of if Nick was gay or not. But then now like he's into this tennis player.
That looks like a man.
Camille, was it on page 64?
Yeah.
Is it right here?
Yeah.
Okay. Love Nick, and all I could think of how when that certain girl played tennis, a faint mustache of perspiration appeared on her upper lip. Nevertheless, there was a vague understanding that had to be tactfully broken off before I was free.
So I think he likes her just because she looks like a man.
He's in the
has-
athletic girls.
She has
That look
like
like men.
qualities of a
Yeah,
man.
because she's masculine though.
Yeah.
And
Got
she has a mustache.
Yeah.
But I think he's gay.
Thank you, Kyle,
You're welcome.
for that conclusion.
I was gonna comment as well as on how he stayed really late at Gatsby's party, just to like, hold on, just to like, so he could be around Gatsby for longer or talk to him.
Do you
He
think
just seemed
Gatsby
like a-
throws the parties just for Nick to come? And like,
He's been throwing the party
Well, I don't think
before
so,
Nick
'cause
got there.
Because like this was the first time that he invited them.
yeah, all right. Next question.
I think it's funny how like Nick prides himself in being like one of the most honest person he knows, and like how he's honest and everybody else isn't. But he's like not being honest with himself about how he likes boys. Like he's saying he likes these girls and like trying to convince himself he's like straight, but he's not.
Really not.
So like that's not really being
But like
honest with
in
yourself.
the book, it doesn't like say like, "Oh, Nick is gay." It just
But
like
there's
has all
evidence
the
of
signs.
support, yeah.
Yeah.
There's like many
So it's
quotes
like-
that kind
He's
of
kind of a
support
hypocrite.
He's like hinting at it, I guess. But
Maybe
like,
he doesn't realize it.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I don't know. He stayed at that other guy's house for a long time.
I think he
and talked
realizes
to-
it. He just doesn't want people to know. Maybe
Yeah. It was like a
he
thing
doesn't
of
come
shame
out and say
to be
like
gay
I'm
at that time
gay. He
period.
just like gives off hints and clues throughout the book that I don't know.
who they talked about the guy with like the owl eyes or something.
Oh yeah.
I was confused on that part.
Yeah, it says he meets a man with owl-eyed spectacles who's in awe that.
He was like they were like in the library.
Yeah, they met in the
right?
library. And he keeps saying, I've been drunk for about a week now, and I thought it might be sober me up to sit in the library. Wait. Oh, he thinks it might sober him up to be in the library. So,
So is
That's
this like
him.
he just like snuck off during the party to just like
yeah.
wander,
Yeah.
I guess.
Didn't he say that like he didn't think Gatsby's books were real, but then actually like looked at them and he said that they were real. Says that somewhere.
I like in the chapter like the descriptions of like parts of like they was talking about the library was marble, I think, or like marble floors or something. I like the description of like inside Gatsby's house, like back to like the oranges thing, like how like
He's very like
rich he is.
So do you think this chapter is trying to get across the point that he's very, very, very wealthy?
Yeah.
I think he
I
likes
think so.
people to know that he is. Just by the way the book describes it, like she said that he buys more than he needs of oranges, and you know he's very
I feel like each
particular about what he puts in his house.
I feel like each chapter like gives more and more information about who Gatsby is and like what he's about. Like this one's about his wealth, I think.
It also like leaves a sense of like curiosity because like we still don't like know fully who he is or like his background
Yeah, that's a good point.
or his story, but we just know like he's this like loaded guy that throws parties.
Yeah.
All right, so I had a question. Most of Gatsby's guests were not invited and just simply showed up. And so, what made Nick different? Like, why was Gatsby so interested in him?
Probably
His
because he was
his
gay.
neighbor.
Or they
I
like
think
they
that-
might
I know
like
that
each
guy.
other.
No, I think that it was just like out of courtesy because he like knew that like he had moved in. He probably had like seen him bringing in
Probably
stuff.
felt bad just because like he didn't know many people.
Like it's like when
so-
you bring your neighbors cookies when they move in.
Or, like,
I
that.
never.
But
did
he's
that,
gonna-
but-
Everyone does that.
He's gonna
I did
hear the
not.
party and stuff since he's the neighbor too. So like,
He just felt
if he's
like-
just sitting there like trying to go to sleep while there's a party going on next door,
And plus, I think that since he's new to that area, that the best way for him to like meet people is going to a big party like that. So
Or maybe Gatsby's gay too.
that's why I said. But you, guys are-
I don't think so.
I don't
I
think
mean,
so.
Yeah,
you never know.
he's pretty dang straight.
Who's watching the movie?
Liv, what other quotes do you have?
I had one from the very beginning. It's a very good one. It was men and girls came and went like moths among the whispering and the champagne and the stars. So, like in the very beginning of the book, you could basically just predict that everyone. Well, when I was reading it, it was like almost a prediction that everyone's gonna get drunk and
Yeah.
have a big party time.
To go off like everyone being drunk towards like the end of the chapter, it talks about when like husbands and wives start arguing whether to stay or not because they're drunk. And so that was like interesting that like Nick had picked up on that. And like, was Nick drunk?
I think
Also.
I think it's weird how the couples like the husbands were mad that their wives weren't letting them talk to like the younger girls and like flirt with them. Like I think that's weird that that's normal for them. And yeah, that's all I have to say. What were you gonna say, Kyle?
You just hit that.
All right. Well,
Anyone, do you have any other quotes?
I have another one, but basically I was just saying that Gatsby liked to have big parties,
Yeah.
harping on the fact that he just liked to show off his wealth and big house.
how much time do we have left?
Does it matter?
Yes.
A couple minutes.
Okay. Does anybody else have like questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Does Gatsby's smile reflect his true feelings, or is it a deceiving front for something?
I think it's a
Did he-
deceiving front.
Well, it might be a mix of both.
Maybe
I mean-
like it could go either way. Like
Maybe he's like unsure.
he could actually be like happy, or like he could be like the way he copes with stuff is throwing big parties,
He might be just like putting on an act, so like everybody.
or like he needs affirmation from like people coming to his big parties. Like that's how he gets his like
Like he needs approval.
And that might be
yeah.
why he throws such big parties. It's because he's like insecure about something, and throwing those parties kind of brings him
with
some type of clarity with that.
with the like sense of like no one knows who he is, so he's like getting the attention without getting the attention.
It might like distract him from like a problem he has, and it's just like filling in something for him.
Yeah.
Anything else? 1 more minute.
Let me see what other.
Liv, nothing. Edwin,
I've already used all mine.
Isaac, Brooke. Camille, what do you have? I saw some more on your page. Yeah, right there.
Kyle, I read all of them.
I don't. You read the last one.
Yes, I did.
You sure about that?
Yeah.
Just want to read one more.
I'm not big crowd.
I think also like the fact that Nick talks about like his butlers. That's just like going back to like being so wealthy. Like he has butlers.
Yeah, that's.
Okay, I have one more question.
Yeah.
Do you think Gatsby expected people to get drunk because he had like you said, all those oranges? He had that device that would do that.
Yeah.
Do you think he expected people to get drunk?
He probably expects
Well,
people to
and
get
that
wasted.
it says that Gatsby was standing on the stairs looking for a group that he could fit in with, and that kind of draws back to the conclusion that we think he's insecure about something. So that's why he's throwing these big parties to try to cope with.
To meet new people and
Yeah, to like
consistently
try to
have-
expand his horizon and try to find someone. So.